because what we're trying to do today is identify ways that we can get back in touch with the joy or the fun of working with our colleagues. And there are some great tools for that. Again, I'm Sandie Bateman, Director, Learning and Development with JER HR Group. We have a few people who are joining, and this is being recorded, so it will be available at the end of the session. Also note, this is a webinar, so your video and your audio is muted. And if you have questions or comments, please put those in chat. Sanchita Gopal is our producer, and she will help monitor chat to see if you have any questions or comments. All right, so I'm going to get started. Just a little bit about JER HR Group and Trainery. We are a group of organizations who work together to provide human capital management solutions, and something that we're now starting to call a learning hub. It's a centralized location where you can get organizational development support, leadership management training, staff training, compensation support, general HR services, and a lot of human capital management technology solutions. We have LMS systems, streaming services, on-demand videos available, compliance, and we have an online performance management tool. So we do have quite a bit to offer and beginning to become more integrated in that platform. My role is, as I said, Director Learning and Development with the JER HR Group, and the CPD stands for Certified Professional in Training and Development through the Association for Talent Development. Some of you may have known it as ASTD. So today we're going to talk about, the reason I asked the question about what brings you joy is, I think a joyful workplace is one that's in touch with the mission and the vision for that particular organization. And it's part of the organization's culture. And so I think what we'll talk about is ways that we can really enhance that culture. One of the ways is to talk about building self-awareness and of individuals' behaviors and how it can impact others, as well as how you might be able to adapt as you need to in real life situations. And so we'll unlock engagement and inspire people to be more effective as they collaborate with others. A lot of times, barriers to working with others that we may take as personal reactions may not be personal. It may be because this is just the behavioral tendency or the habits of that individual. And by helping people recognize not to take these responses personally, I think we can go a long way towards building that engagement. The tool in particular that we're going to look at is something called Everything Disc on Catalyst. And it's really now positioned as being very transformational with the platform called Catalyst. And we'll see that and we'll talk about it more. You may have heard of DISC. Many of you have heard of DISC and Myers-Briggs and some of the other 4 behavior style assessments. The Everything Disc is a specific version from the distributor Wiley Publishing. And it's always been that you could take it online and get a paper or a PDF report. The new thing is it's now available online in a platform called Catalyst, and we're going to delve more into that. So let's step back first and talk a little bit about the assessments themselves. Very helpful in, as I said, for an individual to look at how they do their work, what's involved in their own decision-making and interactions, as well as their colleagues. And within Everything DISC, there's several tools. Workplace is one. AgileEQ is a version that gets at emotional mindset and how that affects this individual and the team's ability to connect. The Wiley version is validated for consistency and repeatability and meets lots of standards through all the research that's been done. And we're now using the technology to help make that go more effective. Organizations that have implemented this see that their turnover has been reduced, communications are better, and people are in general are more engaged. So we'll look at the basics of what these tools are measuring, why it's important to know your behavioral style and how it can impact others, and how you can bring this awareness into the organization and your everyday interactions. This goes all the way back to the 30s, and the picture at the back in the background is of William Marston, who in the 30s wrote a book called The Emotions of Normal People. He had been doing interviews and researches with people because he felt that people reacted in different ways to similar situations. And he identified that there were 4 basic ways in which people would react. He didn't create any kind of an assessment. He just kind of laid down the foundation. And as years have gone by, several people and organizations have tried to come up with a way to identify those 4 basic types of behaviors. One is Myers-Briggs. You may be familiar with that. Another is the DISC model. People colors, there's several of them out there. So we're looking at the everything DISC, and the image at the top, you see the current way in which this information is transferred, with the circle and 4 sections of the circle based on the way an individual answers some adjectives that describe their behavior in certain situations. They usually answer on a scale of 1 to 5 or 1 to 7, depending on the section of the assessment. And they are then plotted on this circle. The closer to the circle, the less you see of that behavior, and the closer to the outside, the more. And so then it is colored in, and we get some indication of where in that circle that individual normally reacts, what's their preferences. The 4 types are dominance, the I is for influence, the C is conscientiousness, and the S is steadiness. So this tool allows you to see this information in a written profile, but also online. And what you see up here now is a screenshot from information about the person who was taking the assessment, Elena. And the wonderful thing about this is that Elena can look at any of the colleagues in her organization who have taken the same assessment and compare the 2 and learn about how they can work more effectively together, and how they might be able to generate buy-in, delegate, all these kinds of things that are best practices when engaging and working with others in the workplace. What's wonderful is it's always there on a laptop, desktop, tablet, phone. It's accessible on all of the platforms. And so if you were getting ready to go into a meeting with someone, you think, let me look up, see what she has to say. It's a great tool. You don't have to go find the report. You can go and look at it. And you can look at teams as whole. So it is a great tool for doing that kind of thing. So this is the Catalyst. It's really very, very new. A new way to engage and connect with people. And I'm going to go to a segment now, and I'm going to show you a little video. And then we've got some time so I can actually walk you through and show you the platform itself. So let me bring up my video screen. Get that going for you.
Inspires lasting change. So, whether your people are in the office, at home, or somewhere in between, Everything DISC on Catalyst can help you shape a more engaged, collaborative workforce that works.
Let me start that over. It looks like it started way towards the end. Sorry about that.
your office environment has changed, making the need to collaborate critical. Everything DISC has proven to make workplace interactions more fun and effective by teaching people more about themselves and others. And now, no matter where your people are working, they can access the magic of everything DISC on a new platform we call Catalyst. It's simple. People take a brief assessment and discover their unique DISC profile, offering them rich, personalized insights about themselves and others. Then, Catalyst turns insights into action with the new colleagues features where people can compare their DISC styles and gain real-time tips for working better together. The colleagues feature helps people understand what their colleagues' strengths are, what they care about, when to pull them into a project for support, and what stresses them out. Whoa. It shows similarities and differences, and even compares preferences across a range of workplace behaviors, like where people focus their energy or their preferred pace. Go further with tips on demand that help your people work better together in a variety of situations, like navigating tension, connecting, or effective collaboration. Everything DISC on Catalyst also provides easy access to applications you know and love, like Workplace, AgileEQ, and more, making ongoing learning possible. And here's the cool part. Catalyst supports classroom and virtual training, creating a learning experience that inspires lasting change. So, whether your people are in the office, at home, or somewhere in between, everything DISC on Catalyst can help you shape a more engaged, collaborative workforce that works.
Well, I hope you found that interesting. Just a little more about the tool and what's going on right now within the distributor that we work with. The wonderful thing is, if you are already using this tool in your organization and they've taken a paper copy in the past, then through the end of 2023, all the way through the end of next year, they can take the same assessment, but take it in Catalyst so that you begin to build your organization and there's no charge. So what would normally be $80 to $130, depending on which assessment we're talking about, would now be free. And what you get out of that is you build people within your organization in the Catalyst platform, and then you can really begin to leverage that for building organization culture and a sense of collaboration. We recently worked with an organization and did this with 30 managers who are in a very fast-paced environment and constantly changing things. And they did take the time to go through a series of trainings that were both in person and virtual. And at the end, everyone said this was absolutely essential, and that throughout the process, they read the information, thought about themselves, and started to adjust how they interacted with other people who in the past perhaps had not moved quickly enough. Say someone was a D personality, which really likes results, getting things done. And they were trying to work with someone who is a steadiness. And from the name, you can tell this individual is slow to change, wants to make sure everything's okay with the team. But the D personality manager began to stop and think about, I need to give them time to think about it. I need to get an answer, not while I'm talking to them, but maybe the next day. I need to give them a reason it's important for the team and the people. Those kinds of mindset change were beginning to make a huge difference. So that's the value of this, and the value of having it in Catalyst is that you can see it live time, as I said. So if anybody in your organization has taken the basic workplace version of DISC, the AgileEQ, which is relatively new, or the DISC management, then we can set them up. Or if you have a different distributor other than JER HR Group, that distributor can set them up in Catalyst. and they will get an invite. They will need to take the assessment a second time, but there's no charge. Once they take it, they'll have access to the Catalyst platform and can go in and can actually look at all these things. I don't see any questions in chat. If you have some, please post them. I thought I would also now actually go to the platform and just kind of walk you through what that looks like. So this is the entry. This is a demo site. The individual is Mateo, and you can see the individual has taken the assessment. This person can go on and learn more about their preferences. This is a blend of conscientious and steadiness. So there's information about that individual, where they fall. If you've taken DISC, you recognize a lot of this is in the narrative and in the written profile as you've seen it. So we can look at what drives that individual, what your priorities are, why that's important, motivators and stressors, strategies for that individual to help them move forward, information on how you can build better relationships, connecting with different styles of people. Lots of information on that. With each of the different primary styles. And if there are individuals in there, as you scroll through, you'll see that person pops up and they can click on that. And then they get this opportunity to read more about that individual. Again, as you saw in the video, what that person cares about, when that individual may be helpful. You know, it's great to have a variety of thinking styles within an organization. And it's not trying to make them all the same, but identifying when is it best to pull those different styles in. And this is wonderful for doing that. And you see this, the comparison on a horizontal axis between being accommodated and strong-willed, different traits, behavioral traits. And you can see interesting, focused on realities, focused on possibilities. Quite a difference there. So if you're trying to interact with that individual, how you position the discussion may make a big difference. Working together when there's tension, when you're trying to connect, benefits, roadblocks, collaboration, buy-in, wonderful tips. There's more information about DISC in general that people always will have access to, including some videos, which are from some of the basic training, but it's always great to have a place to go and refresh minds on that. As I mentioned, the validated and repeatable information. So we've got reliable and validity. Lots of information about that. If people in your organization want to get, how valid is this? Is this really very helpful? More information on the history of DISC, and there's Marston, goes all the way back to 1928. So there's lots that, I mean, this is just a huge resource of information, more than many individuals will probably be interested in, but it's there and it's accessible as needed. When working with a team, if you have taken workplace management, then you can go to that and get information about that tool. If you've taken the management version of DISC, then it's possible from your platform to learn the same thing that's in your profile about your management style, what you tend to do as a manager, as well as what you enjoy doing. This gets back to my original question. If you know what you like to do, it'll help you be more effective. If you know what you don't like to do, be aware of that and plan it appropriately, or delegate to someone else who is perhaps more comfortable in that. Tips on directing and delegating to the different style colleagues and your strengths and challenges. This is a wonderful tool. Some of you who know about DISC may know about what we call people reading. And so in people reading, there's a way you can ask 2 questions and guess a colleague's style. So we can do that in this tool as well. So the first thing is decide where their energy comes from. Are they fast-paced and outspoken, or cautious and reflective? So I see a couple of questions in chat, and I'll get to that in a minute. You would choose one, then you decide how do they relate to people or tasks, and let's choose accepting and warm. And so it tells you more than likely that individual, based on your guess, is an I style. So then you can click on the I style and it will give you information on that I style. If you want to learn more about just how to adapt to that individual, you can always go back and get that. If you want to go back and learn more about how to interact with that individual, you can go back to the basics where you look at your colleagues, and because you don't know what that person that you're thinking about is not in here, pick one of the ones who's an I. In this case, we're looking at Elena, and this was on Mateo. So you can see interacting with that I style. So I'm going to stop sharing the site. I think I've hit everything here. Make sure I haven't missed anything. Let me look at your questions for a minute now. If I do Catalyst with my workplace profile, can I see results of my manager who used Catalyst on his management profile? Or do we both need to be in the same profile? Good question. As long as you've taken the basic core, you can still compare the basic core DISC. And so if some of your people have taken workplace and some have taken management, we can still see just the basic DISC comparisons. Another one is, I'm used to having the printed profile. Maybe I'm old school. Can any of Catalyst information be printed for performance review discussions? Another good question. Yes. With Catalyst, you can see right here, download reports. So you can download whichever report you took, and it downloads as a PDF file that can then be printed. If you took the management, you can download that. You took the AgileEQ, you can download that. And so then it pops up and you'll see here it has, here's what your profile is. You open that up. You'll work through the profile. I think you can see this. Just like the old style profile. Let's see, are there any other questions here?
I just got in a comment from one of our consultants saying that the chat box didn't work for few of you. Please try again now. I have enabled it for everyone. I'm not sure how that happened, but yeah, please do use the chat box and let us know if you have any questions.
Okay, I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint for now, but we can go back to the platform if there are any questions about the platform. I'm looking to see if anything else scrolls in the chat box. Thank you for that notice that the chat was not working. So the steps, you know, if you're interested in a demo, certainly request a demo. And I'm happy to walk through that with you. Individuals take the assessment online just as they do with the paper version. And then they will get access to Catalyst. Another comment, someone said we didn't see the report. So let me just pull that up and I can show you what that report looks like. I think, let me get down and make sure I've got the right file. Oh, I think I closed the file. Hang on. All right, you've got a link for how to contact us at info@jerhrgroup.com. So one question, I just wanted to share that I've worked in organizations that required employees to take DISC, and it really improved the way in which we work together. Much better understanding of each other and collaboration. Thank you, Renee. I appreciate that. You know, one of our senior consultants who's done a lot of DISC work is also with us. Michelle, would you like to comment on how you feel that this has benefited the people that you've worked with?
Yeah. Thank you, Sandie, and thanks, Renee, for that endorsement. I have seen, like you've been saying, Sandie, just the confidence and the joy. I love your mention that it helps people find joy, because when they understand themselves and their talents, they're going to be much more willing and effective in using those talents. And I'm excited to think about the idea of being able to collaborate when people aren't sitting in the same office building. So with this now hybrid or virtual workplace we're moving towards, I think Catalyst is a great solution, whether it's administered through classroom training or whether it's done, as Renee described, as just an assessment so that people can start to have an understanding. I always think that, we're not trying to label people, but language changes culture. And having a language like the DISC style, the DE style, the I style really helps people understand why people think, act, and do the things that they do.
Thank you, Michelle. Yeah, and I did want to also mention that the virtual training support, if any of you have a facilitation kit from Wiley for either Everything DISC Workplace, Everything DISC Management, or Everything DISC AgileEQ, reach out. If we helped you purchase it, let us know, or who you purchase it from. You can upgrade to a new facilitation based on Catalyst at no charge, which is $1,500 to $2,000 savings for you there. So Wiley recently upgraded their facilitation kits. The facilitation kit for Everything DISC on Catalyst includes those tools that you own in your facilitation kit. If you have AgileEQ, Management, and Workplace, then your facilitation kit will have access to all of those in one tool. And it provides you in-class facilitation as well as virtual facilitation. It will give you talking points, videos, activities, all those kinds of things so that you can facilitate, or you can bring in one of our consultants and we can help with you on that. I think I've got set up so I can now share the profile itself. So you can see it's very similar to the one that you have been used to seeing. It will have, of course, the individual's name. This is the workplace profile, their individual style, their overview, the narrative, same kind of information that we now have in Catalyst. It's also available in this summary profile, as many of you are used to seeing. So Since we had a question, I thought it would be helpful for you to see that as well. So a question has cropped up. I have several kits. What's the process for upgrading to Catalyst? There is a site for you to go in and put your serial number and a link. So if you're interested in upgrading your kits, send a note. You can send it to me or to info at JER HR Group, and I can help you with that link. So it is a standard link in Wiley's system that will allow you to enter in your serial number, and then from that, it will then link you to the updated information that you can download. Well, that's the end of our presentation. Any other questions or comments? We'll be glad to continue talking. If there's anything else you want to see on the Catalyst platform, put a note in chat and I can certainly open that up and show it to you. So in summary, remember, anyone who's currently has taken one of the Everything DISC assessments can take it for free in the Catalyst platform through the end of next year, and then be able to see it within their organization. When you set up an organization, it's important that everyone use the same name for that organization. You will have the capability to indicate departments. So for instance, if you had organization ABC, and then within that you had HR department, an operations department, people can actually then put, as they take that assessment, their departments, so they could eventually look at by department, their colleagues as a team, as well as by the entire organization. So it's possible to do that. If you have your own sub account with us, then we can help you in setting that up so that you can send out links to the Catalyst assessment for people who've already taken it. Or if you have another distributor, contact them and they can help you get that set up. So I feel like in this, as Michelle said, in this environment of hybrid, some virtual, some in person, that the world is moving towards that. And I think Wiley sees that, and this Catalyst platform is really, I think, going to become the foundation for their delivery of their assessments, their tools, their information, and ongoing. In developing people, being able to apply and get back to the information as needed, just in time, is absolutely essential. And this tool certainly provides that. Well, I don't see any other questions or comments, so we're going to conclude, and certainly reach out if you have any other questions or comments. Thank you for joining us today.
Nice job, Sandie. Thank you. And I really think this is very generous of Wiley to offer at no cost the upgrade, not only of the profile, but of the facilitator kits.
I think it indicates their commitment to this platform and that it's going to be here for the long run. So by offering this now, they're trying to get people as many engaged as they can on this great new tool.
Yeah, timing is everything.
Yep. Thanks, everyone.
Have a good weekend. Nice job, team.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Sandie, could you send me the PowerPoint